felt a call and still do feel a call to minister to the Maasai in Kenya. So in 2023, in the spring, we began talking about what it might look like for us to be involved with them. And we met at General Assembly in Indianapolis in June of 23, and then began making serious plans to visit. But before visiting, to begin funding what they were already involved in. Those three children you see on the screen are our brothers and sister. They represent the first three members of the Tinga Church of the Nazarene. When Wellington and Helen were praying about a place to begin a church, they were led by God to drive about an hour outside of their home, outside of Nairobi, to a little wide spot in the road, a community called Tinga. And they rented a space that you'll see in just a moment, but they rented a space and set up their church there. And that first morning, they played the music and they opened the doors, and here's who showed up. And so they said, well, you know what? These three have value, and we're going to pour into them. And they did. And so these are the charter members of the Tinga Church of the Nazarene, because they were the first three who showed up. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. So they rented the space, as I said, and there's the small space that they rented, a very small room, and you can see at the beginning of it, they added a few folks. There's one of the traditional Maasai men in the traditional Maasai dress, and they all carry some sort of staff that is a symbol of their authority, and so all of the Maasai men carry those. You can see Helen there in the background dressed in blue. And so this was the beginning of their ministry. And it grew a bit as time went on. And then when we were there in April, the place was packed out because they had a lot of guests. Well, they wanted a permanent place of their own, so we needed to purchase land. And we were able to raise the money through your generosity to purchase land to build a church. So two of the people involved in that church are Joseph and Sarah Malloy. They are, for lack of a better word, the apprentices of Wellington and Helen. They're working as an associate pastor, and Wellington hopes at some point to hand the ministry there at Tinga over to Joseph and to Sarah. They are an amazing, beautiful young couple with a little son named Brighton. So they will eventually be the pastors of this congregation, but at the moment they're learning how to do what they need to do. So when we showed up on Monday morning for our build of the week, that's what we arrived to see. And if you ask any of those of us who were there, all of us probably had the same reaction. How in the world are we going to build a church in a week with this being the beginning of it, just this skeleton? But we went to work. And so as we did that, all of us were involved in some way or another, and we learned that we were going to put metal around the building, which we set about doing on the sides and on the roof. And by the end of the week, by Friday, it looked like this. Yeah. You had the appropriate reaction. Wow.